How's it going, Critter Family? Hope you all are doing well. Today we are going over a video by Robert Hynes, the radical behaviorist Robert Hynes. K9 Tay, the Shiba Way, Taylor Wachowski, time to expose your lies and ignorance. Have fun doing damage control. This is the name of his video. We are looking at my website. He is looking at my website. Of course, I have no problem with that. That's why I have the website there, where anybody can look at it and learn what they want to learn and move on with what they don't want to. But he apparently is obsessed with me. He likes to go after me a lot. I don't know why, because I covered him in maybe 1 or 2 videos. And so he is just hell-bent on, I guess, I don't know, exposing me. I don't know. But we're just going to go ahead and get into it. And somebody asked me to look at this video, so we're going to see what he has to say.
Taylor Wachowski, I never thought I had to bring your name up again, but one of your clients came over and attacked me on my own page because of the reaction video I did to you. And he came at me with full knowledge, admitted he never read Skinner, which means that you never read Skinner either. Welcome to the...
Okay, first of all, I don't condone any of my clients going and doing anything like that. So first off, I would like to say I am sorry that happened. That is under no knowledge of my own. I do not condone, I do not wish, I don't ask, I don't want anybody to do anything of that, especially not a previous client of mine. So I don't know who this client is that did that. I don't know what they said to you. That is of their own free will. I've never asked anybody to ever go after anybody, even with as nasty comments as I receive and you know, in a couple of instances, even death wishes. I will never ask anybody to go and attack anybody. So that was not on my doing. And I apologize for that happening, you know, but I mean, what other people do is out of my control. Secondly, just because he hasn't read Skinner does not mean that I have not read Skinner and I understand Skinner, and B.F. Skinner is not the one-all be-all of dog training. Yes, he developed the 4 quadrants and the operant conditioning of dog training. But that's not, just because you haven't read him doesn't mean you can't learn from, you know, you learn the methods, but he's not the god of dog training. Okay, so I have read Skinner. I have understood, you know, some of Skinner, you know, in pieces, and bits and pieces, just like with my schooling, which he's going to talk about here.
Page of knowledge. Welcome to the page of ignorance. Welcome to the page of lies and actuality.
Welcome to the page of training methods is what it is. Trainers in education under training and methods. I never called it a training, the page of knowledge. I just call it the page of training methods so you can understand the different types of methods that are being used.
I'm going to prove to you that Taylor Wachowski couldn't find her own ass with a map when it comes to dog training and behavior, okay? Let's get into this. First of all, I know about the Animal Behavior College. I've talked to many trainers from the Animal Behavior College, and I proved to them what you learned at the Animal Behavior College was actually incorrect. And you're not...
Says who? Says, what is your background? What is your educational background that you can prove the Animal Behavior College is incorrect? Now, I admit, Animal Behavior College may have their own, may not be the best and have their own, you know, problems and stuff, just like everybody does. Just like the Karen Pryor Academy is not perfect. Nobody else is perfect. Jean Donaldson is not perfect. I'm sure even Victoria Stilwell is not perfect. Nobody is perfect. But what does that have to do with anything? Nobody is perfect.
Not learning Skinner. In actuality, you're learning Conrad Most, who was the father of Schutzhund's IGP dog training, the sport of obedience, tracking, and protection. Okay? In 2015, she was taught 3 main types of training. Positive reinforcement training. There's no such thing as a positive reinforcement trainer, ladies and gentlemen. If you sit down and read Conrad Most, Training Dogs, the book, you would understand that book is the very basis for everything dog training today.
Then how is it that I'm a positive reinforcement trainer who has so much success? And almost 11 years going on training publicly, you know, professionally. How is it that positive reinforcement, my own title, that I'm a force-free or a positive reinforcement trainer, how is it that does not exist? There are the 3 types of trainings here. Trainers here, positive reinforcement, balance training, and compulsion training. Each one kind of goes into different quadrants that they choose to follow. For positive reinforcement trainers, go figure, we follow positive reinforcement and possibly negative punishment. Negative punishment means to remove something the dog likes. So, for example, a trainer of positive reinforcement is I use treats, I use toys, I use petting, I use whatever the dog finds to be reinforcing. Reinforcing means to increase a behavior. So I find what the dog finds rewarding to increase that behavior, and I train them that way. If the dog is doing a behavior I don't want, they jumping up, and then I will turn my back and I can use negative punishment. I remove myself as a way to punish the dog. I remove my attention as a way to punish the dog. There's a difference in punishing from the positive reinforcement group to the compulsion group, towards the balance group. So if you're a balance trainer, you use all 4 quadrants, where you use what I explained earlier, and then you might use more corrections. You might you use, not getting all silly-nilly into the words, but you use negative reinforcement. You lift up on the dog's collar and wait for them to sit. That's how you train a sit. I think that's unnatural. I think it's unnecessary. I don't think it's fair to the dog to just choke the dog or use a prong collar on a dog and pull up on their collar and cause pain to them and discomfort at the very least until they sit. But that's negative reinforcement for you. Positive punishment means that you could spank a dog if you wanted to. If a dog, you add something the dog finds distasteful, or the dog finds the dog doesn't like, as a punishment. So if you have a dog that you have an e-collar on or a prong collar on, if a dog is being reactive and jumping, then you would punish the dog by adding positive punishment, by adding a prong collar pop, or you would hit the button on the e-collar remote. That would shock the dog, and that would tell the dog no. That would tell the dog, well, it wouldn't tell the dog no, it would tell the dog, it would make the dog hurt. And the dog might, over time, learn that, when I do this, then I get pain, so I'm going to stop doing that. With compulsion training, it's just that much. They don't even try to use positive reinforcement. They just go straight for yank and crank, old school methods. Think about in the 50s when you would, you could smack a dog on the ass and just say, sit, or you would smack them in the head when they did something wrong, or you would choke them, or you would helicopter them, or you fling them up in the air and you slam them on their back. You could do all sorts of things, and that is compulsion training. You are compulsive with your corrections, and even, to me, it's not training, but it's just abuse. But anyway, let's hear what Robert has to say.
Quadrants of dog training are not positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, negative punishment. They are, in fact, primary and secondary inducements and primary and secondary inducive compulsions. Then she goes on to mention compulsion-based dog training. Okay, so he's telling
me that what Skinner says himself, and has been quoted quoted himself, B.F. Skinner, that they're not 4 quadrants. He says there's something else. Okay, then apparently a lot of other people are wrong. I'm not the only one that's wrong.
Guess what? Guess where the compulsion name for balance training came from? The inducements and compulsions from Conrad Most. Okay? Let's get into this. Let's start with the definition of operant conditioning. In her mind, in operant conditioning, positive reinforcement involves the addition of reinforcing stimulus. Bullshit. And she declares this is all B.F. Skinner. She's never read a book from B.F. Skinner, and she should. Everybody should sit down and read a book from B.F. Skinner.
He's not the God-all, be-all, one-all, be-all of dog training. Just because, this is from him. I didn't just make this up. This is a definition from, well, at least a Google definition of what I got that has been quoted, or is said to have been quoted from him. I don't know what you're talking about. Positive reinforcement, a direct quote from Google. An operant condition, positive reinforcement, involves the addition of a reinforcing stimulus following a behavior that makes it more likely the behavior will occur again in the future. When a favorable outcome, event, or reward occurs after an action, the particular response or behavior will be strengthened. I wrote that in my book. I wrote that here. This has been quoted from B.F. Skinner. Unless Google is wrong, I might be wrong. This is what I've gotten. And then I give you an example afterwards.
Why do I say that? She's defining operant conditioning like every other dog trainer is defining operant conditioning. And
so why are you so special? What are you learning from? You know what? I'm going to get a book from B.F. Skinner. I'm sure there are multiple books of his. I'm just going to get a book of his and read it. And you know what? That'll be for my own good, because I don't care to prove anything to you, Mr. Hynes. I don't know why you care about going after me and saying, oh, yeah, I'm exposing you. Yeah, you're really exposing me. I'm just following exactly what Google said. And maybe I can double check my stuff, but okay.
You get on Google and look up operant conditioning, it comes back with a method of behavioral modification used in reward and punishment, hence the quadrants of dog training. How did Skinner define operant conditioning? Let's take a look, because it wasn't that way.
All right,
A very different process through which a person comes to deal effectively with a new environment is operant conditioning. Many things in the environment, such as food, water, sexual contact, and escape from harm, are crucial for the survival of the individual and the species, and any behavior that produces them therefore has survival value. All of this is based on positive consequences and negative consequences of the animal's choices, okay? Not reward and punishment from the human. What you're looking at, escape from...
That's operant conditioning. Duh. Operant conditioning is also part of the 4 quadrants.
harm is called flight. All of this other stuff, guess what? You're going to have a fight response, which means moving forward. Flight responses are your positive reinforcement. So when you see a dog in full-blown...
A flight response is not positive reinforcement. All of that is just fight, flight, fiddle, faint, or freeze. All of that would be a negative response for a dog, in my opinion. Flight from anything is not a good... That means the dog is fearful. That's not a positive for the dog. A human can understand that. A dog can probably understand that as well. I mean, a dog can understand that probably better than a human can. That, hey, this is scary. I want to get away from it. They're smarter than humans.
aggression and reactivity, the dog is showing positive reinforcement. They're trying to remove a negative reinforcement. And we're going to get into that a little bit further down, okay? Through the process of operant conditioning, behavior having this kind of consequences becomes more likely to occur. So yeah, if you give your child a bowl of ice cream for the first time and they love it, guess what? It's going to be more likely to occur. It's a positive consequence. If your child reaches out and touches the hot stove, the consequence of a burn for their actions is a negative consequence that's going to turn immediately into a negative reinforcement that teaches the child to avoid the hot stove. Okay? This is the reality. But yet, Taylor...
So operant conditioning is either a positive or a negative. Operant conditioning is you do something like he's explaining. It's also part of the 4 quadrants where humans get involved, and humans can... Operant conditioning is more of the dog's own consequences. You know, can humans be involved in that? Absolutely. People use operant conditioning all the time, but they use operant conditioning in the form of the 4 quadrants.
I was telling you point blank, goes adding things. Just have a treat. No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
What else are we going to get into?
Besides, why do you care? Why do you care? Me, a nobody who has a web page that anybody can make a web page. You can make your own web page, Robert. Why do you care what I have to say because you think I'm spreading misinformation? I'm just spreading information that is already widely put out there in the world that many people can either come and take it or they can leave it. Just like you. I'm not going to your page. I don't care to go to your page. I don't care to do anything about you. The only reason I'm covering this video about you, I heard that you had done this, and I was going to ignore it, but somebody asked me to cover it, so I decided to cover it.
Negative punishment. Positive reinforcement. Again, positive reinforcement is actually the removal of negative reinforcement. What is negative reinforcement?
No, positive reinforcement is not the removal of negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement in itself, I mean, if you want to call it that, then some nitpicky person might, or someone who is far more knowledgeable than myself will be like, no, that's actually correct. Okay. By removing a negative reinforcement, that shouldn't be positive reinforcement to the dog. That I can see how you can say it that way, but I don't think that that's really how it works. I mean, negative reinforcement is just removing something the dog doesn't like in order to increase a behavior. That's why it's called negative reinforcement. Reinforcement is to increase a behavior. Negative means you remove something the dog doesn't like to increase that behavior. Does that mean after that, then it's positive reinforcement because the dog is no longer getting corrected? I guess you can say that, but I don't believe it.
Removal of positive reinforcement. Okay? Negative reinforcement.
If I remove positive reinforcement, that's called punishment. That's not negative reinforcement. If I remove my positive reinforcement and I end up punishing the dog, that will change what the dog does so I can positively reinforce them again afterwards.
Reinforcements generate behaviors. Punishment is a different animal altogether. Okay?
It's to decrease a behavior. Reinforcement increases behavior. Punishment decreases behavior.
Definition: behavioral psychology. The goal of punishment is to decrease a certain unwanted behavior. That's kind of sort of right. What does Skinner say about it?
So this guy is riding on Skinner's dick and thinking that Skinner is like the best guy in the entire world. That there's so many other psychologists out there that have come up with other things and other theories and so much more work and all that. But no, he doesn't care because he's riding on Skinner. He is, he's going for Skinner, and that's the one all be all for him. That he's I don't know what it is with him, but he is just in love and obsessed with Skinner, that Skinner can do no wrong, and that the when Skinner would subject animals to learned helplessness, that's okay too, right?
Punishment is easily confused with negative reinforcement, sometimes called aversive control. All the aversive controls, to treats, to tools, to prong collars, to e-collars. This is what Skinner's getting at. The same stimuli are used, and negative reinforcement might be defined as punishment for not behaving. Might be defined as punishment, but yet, dog trainers put negative reinforcement and punishment together. They are not the same. But punishment is designed to remove a behavior from a repertoire, where
I don't think trainers put I don't think trainers put negative reinforcement and punishment as the same. They are different, and they are defined differently, because one is, although I think they're the same, negative reinforcement and punishment are just both unnecessary and is sometimes cruel. They are, negative reinforcement is you remove something negative to, again, increase a behavior. Punishment is used to decrease a behavior. So there is a difference between them. I don't know what trainer is saying that these are the same. Unless he means
negative reinforcement generates behavior. And do I need to explain that? Punishment is designed to remove a behavior from a repertoire, but that's all we ever hear from the positive reinforcement crowd is to stop behaviors, shut down behaviors. You're trying to remove a behavior from a repertoire, and it's all punishment. Guess what? Negative reinforcement generates behaviors. So when your dog is going fight and flight in the environment, it's something in the environment. Guess what? There's something in the environment that it looks at as a negative reinforcement. The negative reinforcement that's in the environment is actually punishing the dog and generating the behavior of fight and flight.
I would say the dog would see it more as punishment than negative reinforcement. The dog is seeing something in the environment that makes them so fight or flight. That is a punishment to the dog. That is just the way I see it. But I'm not that dog. I can't say what that dog, if that dog knew English, what that dog would say, if they really feel if it's that or not. You might use negative reinforcement to keep the dog in that situation in order to flood them, so that way they no longer react to that stimuli anymore. But now we're just getting into all sorts of fancy terms and fancy words and whatnot.
Aggression and reactivity. But yet, people like Taylor are telling you point blank to interfere in the dog's ability to rationalize. And rationalization is a very important skill. When human beings...
I help the dog to rationalize. I help the dog. I'm not interfering anything. You know what? You want to say I want to interfere? Yeah, I'm going to interfere. If a dog is freaking out and going and alligator rolling on their leash and freaking out and trying to get away and almost slipping their leash because they're trying to get away from something that is fearful to them, I'm going to absolutely interfere, and I'm going to move this dog away from the scary stimuli. I'm going to slowly over time I'm going to increase the amount of space between the stimuli and ourselves, and over time slowly decrease that space that we have, decrease that distance that we have from the stimuli, while using positive reinforcement, something the dog likes, to increase the behavior of them being calm in the same environment as the scary stimuli. That's what I'm going to be doing. So if you have, say, just a trash can with a bag blowing out of it. It's so windy that the bag has been sucked out of the trash can and it's flapping and blowing, and the dog is freaking out, and we're 10 feet away. I might move us 50 feet away. And if we're 50 feet away and the dog is fine and totally under control, and they can do sits and downs and all that good stuff, and they still see the trash can, I'm going to mark and reward and move parallel to that trash can, back and forth. The trash can is over here where my mouse is, and we're over here, 50 feet away. We're walking back and forth. And then over time, we might get a little bit closer. We might go 40 feet and do the same thing. And then we can move 30 feet and 20 feet and 10 feet. And over time, when the dog has realized, oh, this bag is not as scary, or if it's less windy, and say we come back the next day and the bag has been fixed, then I'm going to slowly walk us over to the trash can, desensitize them around it, let them see, drop some treats around it, tap it with my hand, desensitize them, and show them that the trash can is not scary, and I might move the bag a little bit. That's what I would do in an area where the dog might have previously seen it as a punishment if I would have forced them to stay there, or if I had negatively reinforced them to stay there, they would still see it as a punishment, even though I'm using something negative like a prong collar to keep them there, to reinforce the behavior that they say stay sitting there in front of the scary bag, versus using positive reinforcement and interfering with the fearful behavior of the dog and desensitizing them.
Things need something new in the environment. Guess what? If you're not sure of it, you're going to go reactive. Your cortisol and adrenaline levels just went up, putting you on a precipice of fight and flight. Now you need to ask yourself, you need time to figure out, is this thing worthy of being afraid or not? Is this thing worthy of being reactive to?
And that's just the thing, is that most people don't give their dog that time to realize, hey, should I be afraid of this thing or not? I do. I personally give my dog as much time as they want on any given time to see, is this scary plastic bag in this trash can really something scary? And that's what I do. I take time and make sure to make the progress that we can go up to the scary bag and stand next to it while it's flapping in the wind right behind us. I take that as a challenge that, hey, you're afraid of this dog? Okay, let's work on this. Let's help you see that this is not scary. And it might take a little bit of time. It might take several days. It might take a week of 5 or 10 minute intervals working, or it can take all day if you want to work all day and you're going to say, by George, we're going to get this dog used to this bag and all day long. And if it takes 8 hours to do it, then that's what we're going to do. By then the dog would be totally flooded and totally overstimulated and overwhelmed, that they would probably just wouldn't care by that time. Because they would be in fight or flight for so long that they would just totally drain their body.
If it is, then you're going to run away. If it isn't, then you're going to make it not a big deal. And once something is made not a big deal, that's called socialization. Let's carry on. Balance training. Balance trainers are best known for use in all 4 quadrants of operant conditioning. There is no quadrants of operant conditioning because operant conditioning is not what you define it as. Okay?
Okay. So again, where is he getting his information from? B.F. Skinner himself has been quoted of saying the 4 quadrants. I am just so confused. Unless somebody can help me with my confusion, and that's not Robert Hynes, then please do. I trust my viewers, who are much smarter than I am. And I hope not to be spreading any misinformation out there. If I am, then I'm happy to change it and fix it. But, here I gave the quote of what it is. Balance trainers are best known for their use of all 4 quadrants of operant conditioning: positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, and negative punishment. Again, I don't know what this guy's talking about. I really don't.
Quadrants of dog training are primary inducement, secondary inducements, primary inducive compulsions, and secondary inducive compulsions.
So there's 4 there. There's 4 quadrants there. They just name them differently. They name them something that's a little bit more easily recognizable, more easy for someone to understand.
Get on Google and look up the words inducement and compulsion. That explains dog training. There is no such thing as a positive reinforcement trainer. This is a lie, okay?
Then why are thousands upon thousands of people calling themselves positive reinforcement trainer if that is a lie? Whether you call it conducive or inducive or gobbledygook or meat pie on a Saturday afternoon, I don't care what you call it. What I do is I use positive reinforcement. I use something the dog likes to increase a behavior. That is what it is. That is what I do.
We're going to get into positive punishment and negative punishment. Again, according to Taylor, it's all B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner published 21 books, I think, and over 180 papers in his lifetime, through his whole career. Not once have I ever heard the terms positive punishment or negative punishment.
Okay. The 4 quadrants of B.F. Skinner refer to the 4 quadrants of operant conditioning: positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, and negative punishment. Right here, this is AI talking about the 4 quadrants of B.F. Skinner. The 4 quadrants of B.F. Skinner. And it tells you how it works. It tells you all how Skinner's Quadrants, Series 1. So don't be telling me that Skinner did not come up with the 4 quadrants. He did. We just renamed it something else. Or he renamed it something else. You're just talking gibberish. I've gone far enough on this video. I'm not going to go. I mean, we're just going to be going in circles. He's just going to be telling me I'm wrong and this and that and this and that and blah, 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 blah. If you want to check out the website, if you want to check out the website, it's k9tay.com right there. You can tell me if I'm wrong. You can tell me if I'm right. Anybody else who watches the video, feel free to let me know if I am incorrect on anything. I'm always happy to change my point of view and change anything that I have stated that is incorrect, if you can show me your sources. But yeah, otherwise, somebody asked me to look at this video. I did, and I think it's just a bunch of talking back and forth. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. Say hello to your little critters. Say hello for me. Give them some kind of love and they appreciate. And until next time, practice peace, patience, and positivity.